Welcome to the Anitube Anime Awards. 5 of the best anime YouTubers have gathered here to crown the year's best anime in over 20 categories. Zaria, subtitled anime, caffeinated telescopes, and mathwiz. Strap in for the hot takes and enjoy.
Music is oftentimes a heartbeat to any series or film, and no work embodies this more than Kyoto Animation's film Liz and the Bluebird. Composed by Kensuke Ushio, Liz's OST was as tactically constructed as any score ever. Everything is so deliberate, from the performance pieces that illustrate restraint, flight, and love, to the quieter melodies that allow the gravity of each scene to feel as personal as can be. The music is soft, it's almost as if it's woven into the fabric of the story. Liz is a deeply personal tale that rummages into the innermost psyche of two girls struggling with their love and futures. Ushio said a story like this should remain hidden from everyone else, so I wanted the music to be like holding your breath, secretly watching. The performances, however, are where the crux of the themes are, and Akito Matsuda returned to the Hibike Euphonium franchise to once again compose a concert piece. The third and fourth movements in particular of Liz and the Bluebird are some most monumental performance pieces I've ever heard in anime. And even in sound direction, Kyoto Animation is a cut above.
Is it really surprising that a show about a bunch of idols from different time periods being raised from the dead and forming an idol supergroup to save a dying rural town would have one of the most bold, quirky, and energetic openings of the year? The brass sections, drum fills, and dark, roughly sketched visuals dominating the intro serve as your cue to buckle up because it's a ride, reflecting the tonal dichotomy of its premise while capturing everything that makes it so fun and endearing. Visually balancing dark horror aesthetics, glamorous idol theatrics, and campy comic book flair, while being accompanied by music that's every bit as well arranged in its tonal blends, transitions, and performances as the series itself. It's tight and engaging while also being silly and excessive in all the best ways. As tense symphonic instrumentation effortlessly transitions into a soaring pop chorus, laden with colorful, frenetic splashes of action choreography, its thematic emphasis on the value of team effort to overcome individual failure comes to the center, bowing out as the girls take the stage. It's everything that makes Zombieland Saga special wrapped up in a tightly constructed 90-second package. It's dark, hilarious, thoughtful, and uplifting, and as such its opening is exciting, memorable, and unskippable.
Fly Me to the Star is a relaxing tune that fits perfectly into what was on the whole one of the better OSTs of the year. Each member of the cast gets to sing a duet with their respective partner, poor Mahiru. And while this offers a variety of different sounds to keep the song fresh, it also ties into the particular conflicts presented in each episode. In some cases, it even depicts certain traits of the individual or pair singing. For example, Juna and Nana's rendition features an entirely different instrumental arrangement and lyrics that better represent their relationship. It's also hella romantic, and has spawned a number of amusing parodies. They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, so it's safe to say that this ED has earned its place as the top star of 2018.
This category was not won without a mighty fight, from Kaus's iconic Abababas to perhaps the most wild Mamoru Miyano performance ever, an impressive feat indeed, to even my beloved Moyo. All these worthy comers fell one by one, leaving Hisone Amakasu as the last one upright in the ring. In a series that had Moyo in its cast, it was Misaki Kuno who still managed to be the standout. I recognized her as the voice of hyper-cute characters like Shio, Momo, and this season's Mao.
今週も始まりました。無再現のファントムワールド宣伝対策室.
But in Hisone and Masotan, she provides a much broader performance. Amakasu is one of the most idiosyncratic characters in anime, and her captivating personality helped carry the series. This hilariously and relatably beleaguered millennial wants to be friendly with everyone, but often has her efforts foiled by her tendency to start rambling her incredibly blunt thoughts rapid fire without noticing it. All of this is delivered with a unique sounding voice that doesn't have a conventional anime girl feel to it. Misaki Kuno's voice, usually restricted to sickly sweet, extra moe tones, makes full use of its range, and over the course of the series is put to use portraying every possible emotional beat masterfully. Add to all that her incredible licking sound effects, and I couldn't give the crown to anybody else.
It's only natural for Koito Yu to win Best Character given her series' intense focus on every aspect of her person. While partner Toko may be the chief driver of the plot, it's Yu's internal feelings that serve to ground the series, acting as a starting point for the viewer's investment. It's not hard to feel sympathetic for her, in her desire to fall in love but inability to do so, and then her slow path of coming to discover, through fits and starts, that really, her own heart is beating, simply can't be missed. Of course, this is absolutely not an entirely happy process, and it's hard not to feel a similar sympathy for Yu's confusion as she does come to love Toko, plunging her into deeply conflicted feelings. As with the show she comes from, it's sad to say her story is not over, but I doubt anyone would be disappointed by the course of development she goes through. She truly is beginning to bloom into herself.
Kase and Yamada are a perfect couple and the best 2018 romance anime has to offer. They're both adorable and brimming with chemistry. The dynamic between Yamada's bubbly, affectionate personality and Kase's cool, confident demeanor never failing to bring a smile to my face. Both are complex, independent people, coming from different social circles with their own distinct quirks, passions, and goals, and much of the story's conflict revolves around their attempts to navigate those complexities in an effort to cultivate the emotional intimacy needed to grow as a couple, especially when outside circumstances, nervous energy, and sexual tension inevitably threaten to create misunderstandings between them. It's the kind of mature, down-to-earth relationship that defines the best romance stories. However, what really sells them as a couple is how well the franchise balances those complexities with the experience of simply being in love. In the quiet, intimate moments they share, the extent of their feelings is so strongly felt as to be tangible, as they continue to fall for each other with every word, interaction, touch, and every passing moment.
This award felt wrapped up the moment its original CV came out in 2016. Animation brings stories to life, giving movement and personalities to the stories we love, and no television series did this more than Kyoto Animation's Violet Evergarden. It isn't commonly referred to as the greatest TV production of all time for no reason. Evergarden has a mastery of movement and camera work that makes it the truest spectacle of spectacles. From subtle character acting to bombastic full-body crying and action sequences, the animation is a cut above. Its ultra-detailed character art moves so fluidly and realistically for every frame that you can almost get fooled that it's animated on ones. The crowds have a certain life to them, everyone and everything is moving, and for a television series to accomplish this feels paramount in its production. No one's doing this. And Violet Evergarden does so many things well. Its music is moving, its storyboards amaze, and its directing is world class. However, its animation is where it shines brightest.
It's no big surprise that two series with a focus on theater would take the spotlight when it came to Best Cinematography. Revue Starlight staged its twists and emotional beats brilliantly, but ultimately it's Bloom Into You that claimed position 0. As it is, the source manga already had incredible paneling, with a focus on subtle body language that gets us into the heads of its characters, so the team adapting it had a strong base to work from. But they didn't slack either, bringing new visual concepts like the deep suffocating water Yu finds herself lost within to further enhance the experience. The flower imagery indicative of the series' shoujo stylings help tell the story of this blooming romance, and as complicated, traumatic feelings take center stage, tenderness and care is given to the portrayal of these hardships. Runners-up like Revue Starlight and Gridman paired strong direction with fantastic animation executions of that vision, but as far as pure excellence in cinematography goes, Bloom Into You is in a class of its own.
Perhaps the defining trait of anime is its lavish designs. Each show has a dedicated aesthetic identity that at times weighs more than the story itself. And Revue Starlight handles that in spades, creating the most vibrant world of the year, quirky school life by day and epic battle surrealism by night. The show balances many forms, but blends them together into a masterpiece. Its use of color is genius, and its attention to atmosphere might be better. Its visual flair in the reviews lend to how dire these auditions are and make them memorable in a year that might be anime's finest. From stage designs in the auditions to the actual Starlight play, to the characters and costume designs drawing from Takarazuka inspirations, the show leaves a visual impression that's lasting. The stages have all these moving parts, littered with symbolism and thematic purpose that bolsters already rich writing into something special. Starlight is about theater and tragedy, and it demands such excellence from its one-of-a-kind design.
It was a close call between this fight and a few other legendary encounters like Rin vs. Dog, and my personal favorite, Watashi no Smartphone ga! But you can't spell anime awards without My Hero Academia. All jokes aside, would you expect anything but greatness with Yutaka Nakamura on the job? This battle is beautiful to watch, and when you add Yuki Hayashi's hype soundtrack to the mix, you've got yourself a spectacle that easily surpasses its manga counterpart. Beyond the presentation, this fight marks a key turning point in the boys' relationship, as it's here where they finally stand on equal footing and acknowledge each other as true rivals. Deku stops putting Bakugo on a pedestal like he once did All Might. Bakugo learns to respect Deku as an actual obstacle on his path to the top, and not just a mere pebble. This fight embodies the shonen aesthetic at its core, and acts as a symbol of how Hiroaka continues to carry the torch passed on by its Jump predecessors.
After lowering the curtain on the narrative's main source of conflict, Violet Evergarden's 10th episode recontextualized the show's thematic focus in light of that resolution, being among the most gorgeously constructed episodes of 2018. As Violet begins her most emotionally taxing job yet, her personal growth is framed through the eyes of others and in the context of preceding episodes. While its dramatic conceit is evident early on, it's executed with such prowess and sincerity so as to land every emotional target with resounding accuracy, showcasing some of the series' most expressive character animation, vocal cinematography, effective sound management, and emotive voice acting. As it unravels a moving vignette of devastating loss and parental love, it slowly turns its attention to Violet and her own experience of the episode's events. When she finally gives voice to them after completing her work, everything the series had been building up to clicks into place in the most heartrending way imaginable. From the very beginning, Violet Evergarden had always been about learning to understand and express emotion. And it's here that her understanding of that concept is fully realized with an overwhelming sense of pathos, being among the most effectively resonant episodes of the year.
It's hard to argue that Bloom Into You is the year's best romance. Focusing on the complex interplay of people's feelings, it derives its drama not from absurd happenstance, but through the reasonable, though diametrically opposed, wishes of its characters. A Yuri anime, it serves as an important queer work altogether, focusing on topics such as aromanticism and lesbianism, with its sapphic young women always taking center stage. And that comment is quite literal, as it also highlights theater, with a central element of the plot rotating around the upcoming school play, which forces its leads to deal with their emotional hang-ups. While its lack of a conclusive ending may frustrate some viewers, it spends the time before this conclusion on the most genuine romance that's come out in anime for a long time. If you're a viewer who's frustrated with how rarely anime has its couples kiss, or often get together at all, then this is a show for you. Don't expect warm, fluffy feelings, at least not consistently, but this romantic drama is a seriously great show.
At face value, Comic Girls is an unassuming title about cute girls making manga, but it's actually one of the most relatable depictions of artist anxiety I've seen. The protagonist, Kaus, is both a nervous wreck and an adorable dork, which helps the tone fluctuate seamlessly between her heavier insecurities and the lighthearted optimism the series puts forth. Improving to the point where one can consider their work great, or even just okay, can be a huge struggle, but at the end of the day, making content is fun. The source material displays a genuine appreciation for the creative process, and the anime enhances that vision well beyond the confines of a 4-koma manga with audiovisual additions that only increase the hilariousness of these exaggerated characters. That's why the pain of progress depicted in Comic Girls is able to resonate so strongly while still being a joy to watch. Yuru Camp certainly offered some stiff competition for Best Kirarake, but where that show was comf, Comic Girls is honest. And that's inspiring.
Crafting an action series can be a bit of a tricky balance. Contenders like Sirius the Jaeger delivered strong Sakuga set pieces, but were merely middling in the storytelling department. Planet With delivered captivating philosophical concepts, but many of its action scenes were just okay. When it came to delivering fantastic action while also being an overall stellar series, nothing could compete with SSSS Gridman. Sorry, Megalobox, you were close. Gridman channels the spirit of Hideaki Anno's Gainax like nothing else. Moody Mist swaddles a depressed character in their contemplation as they walk the streets of an urban city, giving us a moving and meaningful study of that depression. From the frequent powerline shots to more on-the-nose references, this is quintessential Anno school directing. Another Annoism is the passion for kaiju, Super Sentai, and classic mecha that's impossible to restrain. I'll admit that these action sequences won't appeal to everyone. If you can't find any love in your heart for actors in awkward rubber suits clumsily fighting, or for combining robot sequences, this might not do much for you. But if you can't find love for them in your heart, you're a traitor to the otaku community and your crimes will not soon be forgotten. Gridman is beautiful, genuine cheesy passion, sheer excellence, and an instant modern classic.
Planet With may not be the first work that comes to mind when I say the word drama, but I can assure you that it deserves that title. A fascinating piece on the nature of politics and ethics, its large cast shows a remarkable variety of ideologies, all grounded in the life experiences of these characters. As just a small example of what makes the show work so well, at one point, main character Solma expresses anger at the fact that no one has given him space, after his entire planet was destroyed, referring to specific characters and activities we are never made privy to beyond this. This creates such a strong sense that Soma had a life before we met him that I started crying on the spot, and this is just one of many such moments in the series. It's a show that could absolutely have used another core, and yet it remains well-paced, conveying great progress throughout its run, earning it this accolade anyway. Those who want to leave politics out of their anime should pass, but all non-hypocrites ought to give it a go.
Anzu is a blessing to this world, and her character arc surrounding the plight of homeless people in Japan is a great example of the genuine empathy that grounds the supernatural insanity of Hinamatsuri. This show has it all: goofy facial expressions, well-choreographed action scenes, witty dialogue, brilliant voice acting, and it's all tied together in this ordinary setting. A psychic alien girl just materialized out of thin air. Where did she come from? Why is she here? Who knows? But she needs a place to stay and education, I guess. This middle schooler works as a part-time bartender, and she's responsible, a diligent student, and good at her job. The most entertaining aspect, funny or not, is watching these fish-out-of-water characters interact with such mundane concepts like family, gambling, running for student council, the existential horror of working under capitalism. For as weird and hilarious as Hinamatsuri can be, its nonchalant attitude towards these details seems to suggest that we're all our own version of weird deep down. And that's okay. We can find our own place in the world anyway.
March Comes In Like a Lion came back strong with its sophomore season at the tail end of 2017 by delivering on some of the franchise's most resonant episodes yet. And that meticulous attention to craft and conscious storytelling transferred effortlessly into its second half. Right out of the gate, it lowers the curtain on its most emotionally turbulent arc yet, lending it the gravity befitting its subject matter and bringing it to a thoughtful and cathartic resolution. From there, it broadens its thematic scope even further, developing and exploring the unique psychological experiences of its cast, while subtly but purposefully building on its overarching narrative of personal growth and the value of healthy support systems in assisting that growth. Continuing to balance its painfully intimate understanding of trauma with its sincere comedic charm, each episode weaves an expressive and detailed audiovisual tapestry of emotional pain and life-affirming optimism. It's a human story in that it reflects the best and worst parts of the human experience through the lens of radical empathy and the visual medium's full capacity for expression. And as such, it's one that I expect to return to whenever I find myself in need of the hope and comfort that it offers.
The show's gone underwashed as a result of being an unlicensed kids anime, but Aikatsu Friends more than deserves its place as the year's best sequel. A sports anime at heart, the story of Aine, Mio, and the other main characters is consistently captivating. Watching previous iterations of Aikatsu is totally unnecessary, though its themes remain within the same vein. While the well-executed competition is sure to draw some viewers, including those who feel somewhat skeptical about idol anime, the focus on establishing healthy and cooperative relationships is a new one to the franchise, and serves not only as a good education for children, but as an effective point of both drama and enjoyment for older viewers. It'd be hard for you to avoid some welling of emotion due to many of the challenges that these girls have to go through. Factor in the fantastic dance scenes, boasting some of the best CG in the industry, alongside the stellar character design work, and it's hard to go wrong with this still ongoing series.
Netflix tried to take this one with Agretzko and Devilman, and failed. The Nasuverse offered up the greatest entry the franchise has ever had with Fate Stay in the Kitchen, and failed. Ultimately, nothing was going to be able to take this crown from Kase-san. This 58-minute adaptation of the beloved Yuri manga is a total passion project from Steins Gate chief director Takuya Sato, who engaged in a long struggle to get it made after reading the source material and falling in love with it. It's no wonder that the series endeared itself to him so strongly. Kase-san is a no-BS Yuri story. It avoids the trap of spending 2 whole volumes keeping our couple apart going, but I couldn't be in love with a girl, could I? It avoids the cloying purity some works focus on by portraying the two as clearly sexually attracted to each other, while not doing so in a way that feels focused around gratifying a male audience. Constant, adorable character animation brings these emotions to life in the OVA, and basically perfect directing makes every emotional swell heart-wrenching. Kase-san is the story of a beautiful relationship, beautifully told, and I couldn't be more thankful for it.
Film is often hailed as a visual medium's most accessible form. It allows directors and staff to tell stories in digestible ways, and oftentimes they get consumed on the widest of scales. Anime films this year has been as strong as ever, but none reached the heights of art as Naoko Yamada and Kyoto Animation's Liz and the Bluebird. Hibike Euphonium's latest installment works both as a standalone film and as a continuation of the story. Yamada's gift is telling subtle interpersonal relationships through the subtleties of humanity. The grabbing of hair, the way we walk, how we hug, and the moment that we break down. Liz captures all of this so eloquently. It's absolutely a story about what makes us human, told through the beauty and nuance of youth and music. It's about flight, pain, loss, and bonds. It's about bettering ourselves, told by a production staff that specializes in communication and the different ways that it manifests. This movie is everything that Kyoto Animation is.
Look, if you thought that anything but the masterful, grounded look at lesbian life was going to win, you don't know our panel of judges well enough. You, Toko, and Sayaka all have cases to make for being the best character of the year. The series nails shoujo-style melodrama without ever needing to make use of frustrating coincidences or irrational decisions to create that drama, and Nakatani does a massive talent flex by centering the latter arc around a play that sounds so interesting I want to go see it right now. What other series can just casually drop in a tease of a masterpiece in an entirely different medium as a plot element? But if there's any element of Bloom that best encapsulates my affinity for it, it would be Miyako and Riko. A happy, healthy adult gay couple is such a rarity, and getting to see them tease each other or exchange a kiss when one of them gets home from work lets me see my experiences on screen in a way that really only a couple of works in the world can offer. For me, the anime of the year is going to be something that combines technical excellence with a strong personal appeal that pushes it up over the top of the other well-executed competition. And for us this year, that work was Bloomin' to You. Oh shit, baby! I'll soon be launching my Twitch stream, and you can go vote right now on what game I'll be playing. Wanna see Danganronpa? Wanna see Persona? Wanna see Dream Daddy? Jump into the Discord server and make your voice heard. Speaking of, it's time for this video's Jumbotron message. At my new $35 tier, you can make me say whatever you'd like, and this time, Okami Otaku wants to say, if I believed in a god, her name would be Yamada Naoko, and heaven would be called Kyoto Animation. Thank you to Okami, and thank you to everyone who was a part of pulling this off. Saria, Subtitled Anime, Caffeinated Telescopes, and MathWiz. They're all linked below, so go check them out. And finally, a thank you to Psyker, Jonathan Conley, Tyler Monk, Tincho37, Elaine Aldfeld, David McCown, Smokeweed Sephiroth 420, JMam4747, Chase Sutter, Lucas Holcomb, and everyone else supporting me on Patreon already. See you next time.